So you want to be a world champion. That's great. And fortunately for everybody here, I have some experience in capturing world titles. Today we're going to talk about what it takes to win them and how you can get to the point where you have some belts on your shelf from the victories you earned. Now everybody on the channel knows that I like to get more in depth than putting down things as simple as you want to be a world champion, train hard, that's all there is to it. I wish it was that easy. I wish it was just train hard and your opportunity will come, train hard and you will be a world champion, but it is not that black and white. I'm going to take you through what I believe to be the magic steps that allowed me to become a world champion, and we're going to ask a lot of questions. The why, the how, the when, and we're going to make sure that you understand everything you need to do to get to that point to win those world titles. And the very first question I want to answer today is why? Why do you want to be a world champion? I think this is a defining point in establishing if somebody's actually going to get there, because if you're trying to become a world champion for the wrong reasons, I think it's going to be very easy to fall short of your goal. Example, if I say to you, why do you want to be a world champion? And you say to me, oh, well, I want the recognition, the fame. I want to be known as the world champion in the gym. I'm going to say, that's not the right reason. Because it's for other people and it's not for yourself. And bit by bit, as things get harder and harder and the pressure begins to mount, you're going to crumble. You're not going to be able to hold up and put in that effort which is required because it's not for you. So the first thing that I would advise, if that's your thought process right now, is switch why you want to become a world champion in your mind. It should be all for you. That's it. You should be proud of your performances, proud of the effort you put in. When you go forward and you know that when you look back, you're going to have that pride, it helps push you and push you forward. That is one of the defining reasons why throughout my career, I think I've been successful. The why is just making sure that I feel like I've done something where I put 100% effort in, full passion, full dedication. And when I retire and I look back, I'm 60 and 70, 80, and I look back, I'll go, wow. I really gave it my all. For me, that is one of the main reasons that I do this, and I think it should be one of the main reasons that other people out there do it as well. Next, let's talk about the when, because the timeline essentially is very, very important. Now, this will differ for everybody depending on where you are right now in your own career. Let's say you are somebody who already has 20 fights under your belt. That is very respectable. If you're an amateur fighter with 20 fights, you're going, all right, I'm on my way. I might be able to turn pro very soon. And in that case, what we're looking at doing is establishing how many fights I want to have before I start turning pro, how many fights after I turn pro before I challenge for a world title. And it's always good to have the little building blocks out so you have a plan on how you're going to get to that end game. Because starting from down here with 0 fights and just going, oh, I'm going to be a world champion, I don't really know how. I don't know how I'm going to climb this ladder. Well, it's just daunting. It's daunting, and having little goals along the way is fantastic. So you cannot actually see one of my belts way down low there, but initially I just went, you know what? My goal is to win a provincial amateur world title. Once I did that, I went, okay, check. Let's move on now again. Down, right here and down there. We're moving on to Canadian, so country world titles, and then I went on to a North American world title, and then we can start going after those bigger world titles. But having a plan out and making sure you do not rush it is very important, because remember, experience counts. So if I was going to lay it out just in terms of numbers, keep it fast, simple, I would say if you're starting from scratch, recognize that you're probably going to need at least 10 amateur fights, at least, before going pro. That is very few in the kickboxing world, but it is what I did. I think I had 15 Joseph Valtellini, who also won a Glory World title, I believe had around 12 amateur fights. So it can be done with a minimal number. If you are fighting 3 to 5 times per year, I would aim for 5 as an amateur. You can probably get up to that point where you turn pro in 3 or 4. Let's say 3 or 4 years in the amateur stage, and that's when you're building your skill level. Once you turn pro, I would say it's realistic to have 6 to 10 pro fights. If you can go undefeated, then you're at that point where you can start challenging for a world title. Now, next up, we need to look at the how. How are you going to accomplish this? Well, obviously, you need to be training. You need to be training crazy hard. And everybody out there is going to have different time on their hands for how often they can train. So if you're somebody who has school or a family or a job, all those other obligations, which most of us have, then you have to make sure that you are prioritizing your training times and not taking away from the essential training. Essential training being things like sparring, pad work, stuff like skipping for an hour or shadow boxing for half an hour, or maybe going for swims. They're not going to help you become that champion the same way that solid pad work and solid sparring or solid drilling will. And the training has to be hard. You got to start conditioning your body. You got to get tough. You got to start elevating your cardio. All of that is going to come from hard training, not light. Chill. I'm just going to call a random style where you don't really touch each other like a woo-woo martial art. So you don't want to be doing that. You want to start getting strong and making sure you're putting in that time and just getting tough in the process. And if we're looking in terms of hours, how many hours you should be putting in a week, I would say you do need to be training. I'd say 4 would be a minimum. 5 or 6 would be better. Do we need to be training 2-3 hours a day? No, you could probably get away with 60 to 90 minute training sessions if you're doing 5 days a week. And then as you maybe up and you get better and better, maybe you start picking up some sponsors, then maybe you can go a little bit longer every day or add in an extra session each week. Next, we need to look at one of the hardest parts is getting the opportunity, strategizing your path to getting that world title. Because if you just go in blind and you go, oh, you know what, I'm going to fight for this promotion and that promotion and this promotion and that promotion, bounce around from place to place, you don't have any real connections that you're building, it's going to be very difficult. Because when push comes to shove, relationships in pretty much everything, but in the fight world as well, are going to pay dividends because people will remember you and they will go, oh, this guy fought for me 3 or 4 times. He's really good. I'd love to put on a local title fight for him. And then maybe once you do that, they go, oh yeah, I'll fly somebody in for you so we can make it a national title. And developing those connections, shaking hands with people, traveling and meeting different coaches, all of this is going to help, because if you don't have a strategy to get to the top, it's sometimes very unrealistic to think that the world title will ever come, especially if you are talking about a real world title, like a Bellator or a Glory or a 1FC title. To get these guys' attention, you need to have legit, I'm going to call it street credibility. And if you're going around and trying to win, little paper world titles that nobody's ever heard of, it's not really going to help your case. So for me, my strategy, because I saw K1 legend Masato with an ISKA world title belt, and then I saw him in K1, I want to get those ISKA world titles. So I went to a North American, a Canadian, and then we did, they're both down too low, but then we went ISK amateur world titles, yes, amateur world titles, and then ISKA knew me, and I knew they had connections within the K1 industry, and because of this sanctioning body, I was able to get in and make the connection with those big promotions, K1. They were able to put the recommendation in for me with Glory. Were they the only reason I got in? I don't know. But I do know they helped. And that is something that's been super important, especially with Bellator. They were there. They were the sanctioning body. The president was able to say to Scott Coker, look, I know Gabriel. He's a good guy. You really want him on your promotion. And they signed me. So build those connections and have a plan on how you're going to get to where you want to get. If you want a Muay Thai world title or you want to get in 1FC, look at 1FC fighters and go, oh, okay, before they were in this promotion, what belts did they win? This is exactly what I did. It made a world of difference. I truly believe in my ability to have a chance at a big world title. And if that's your dream, hopefully everything I listed out today will help you get that much closer to the reality of that dream. And before I leave you guys today, I am just going to say, if this is something that you've been wanting to do, you want these belts behind me, it's percolating in your brain all the time, you feel the itch to challenge yourself, don't give up on that dream. Because there were definitely points for me where I went, things are not transpiring the way I wanted. Things are moving too slow. My Glory World title, that got put on hold a number of times. I think I won a contender tournament, 4-man tournament, which gave me a shot at the Glory belt. And then I waited, I believe, 10 months. And Glory was going through financial instability. And I was thinking like, I'm probably never going to get my chance. Like, I came so close, but I hung in there. I didn't sign with another promotion and I got my opportunity and I made it happen. It feels so good to know that I just put everything in and I really tried at something. So if this is a dream of yours, I say go for it, but make sure that you don't dive in 100% in the sense that, I'm stopping my school, I'm stopping my work, I'm going to go all in. I did not do that until the financial means were a little bit more in place. So you still have to stick with other things and devote, 50% of your week to training and then 50% to other things which are, going to make your parents happy, school, or which are going to pay the bills, work. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please give it a like. If you have not already, join the channel and get subscribed. I hope people on my channel in the future will start winning world titles. Message me, say, you helped me with this. I already have people doing that for lower level fights, but as we get longer and longer in the age of this channel, I'm pretty sure world champions are going to start messaging me saying, you helped. And that is amazing. Guys, train hard, and I will see you back here soon for another video.